Hello, my name is George Poirier, and I welcome you to the Callum University Technology class. This session is Cutting the Cord and is designed to help you make the move from satellite or cable to an internet-based streaming solution. This move could save you considerable monthly charges and give you more options for your entertainment and education dollar. What we intend to do in this session is to make sure that we're all familiar with the following terms. What is cutting the cord? What's meant by streaming? What are streaming devices? Why would I need an antenna? And how do we make the transition from cable to streaming? And finally, and most importantly, am I still able to get the cable channels that are so important to me? So why does one cut the cord? Well, there are a variety of reasons. Our reason was somewhat unique because in 2009 we went to Alaska fully expecting to watch satellite, but turns out the satellite where we were staying was below the horizon, and so we were unable to pick it up. So we chose to go to the internet, and what we got there was that we were able to get Netflix, and that was when Netflix was in its in infancy, and it was we've been with it ever since. Another thing that we did is we found that the cost that we were able to save by moving to streaming was significant. Another thing that bothered us when we were watching satellite was that there are so many cable channels and satellite channels that we just did not watch and never would watch. And so therefore it was an expense, a hidden expense of owning that kind of solution. The next guy was customer support. In satellite, we found that Dish was pretty good at customer support, but we've heard a lot of war stories about customer support in the cable world. On streaming, you get a lot of quality offerings that you wouldn't get only through cable or satellite. We can get things like HBO Max and Disney World, Disneyland, and all kinds of offerings, which we'll talk about later on, that are high quality to the point where they got a plethora of Emmy award nominations in the most recent Emmys. And finally, there's no long-term commitment. When you want to leave a variety or a offering, then you can just call up or online, cancel it, and you'll finish out the month that you've already paid for. But once it's done, it's done. So, what content is available on the internet? There are services like HBO Max, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, Apple TV, all provide super high quality offerings whose quality is reflected in the Emmy nominations and popularity that they've just received this year. Some are even cultural phenomena like the Game of Thrones. And they're available on all your devices, so you could be watching it on TV at one moment, and then decide to go to lunch and bring your tablet with you and watch it on your iPad or tablet in the restaurant. And if you're interested, you can get content from all over the world. We actually subscribe to MHZ, Acorn, and BritBox to get foreign offerings. Now, watch this next set of charts to see what all over the world in action is really like. Tuneln Radio connects me with audio programming from everywhere, including audio of things like cable news and worldwide sports, as well as radio stations from around the world. What we want to do now is listen to my favorite station in Edmonton, Alberta. First of all, what we have to do is find it. We do that by going to Find Location or By Location. We next need to go to North America. In North America, we look for Canada. And the city in Canada is in Alberta. And so here we find Alberta. And what we find here is the fact that there are a bunch of smaller cities that don't warrant its own subcategory. So that's the radio stations that you see here. So let's scroll down, and there, lo and behold, is Edmonton. We click on that, and boom, we have 30 stations here in Edmonton. As you can see here, the number of people that have been making the move to streaming solution is steadily growing. As a matter of fact, what you see there is that in 2018 there were 33 million, and in 2022 they actually project 55 million. So that's a growth of 22 million people over that time frame. So it is actually a real movement. Down the lower right, you see the term OTT. That's over the top. That's a new one to me, and it means direct to viewers, like Netflix, as a matter of fact. Here's a graphic that depicts the objective. But basically, what we're after is at least what we enjoyed from satellite or cable to be provided to us over the internet for less money and more and better choices. And so we're going to go through the process of making that move. So your first task is to find the appropriate internet provider. It's got to be 5 megabits per second or higher. However, that's a pretty challenging environment to stream in. We ended up going with CenturyLink for several years, and they've always had 12 to 15 megabits per second, which barely meets minimum. However, we were able to do it without very much buffering at all. So it worked well for us. Some of the quality was a little bit less than we would hope for, but it worked well. We did switch to T-Mobile, which is a solution built on their 5G network, T-Mobile Home Network, and it has been phenomenal for us. We were able to get over 300 megabits per second most of the time. And that was only $60 a month versus $45 for CenturyLink. The next challenge is to find the appropriate streaming device or smart TV. Smart TV is the easiest, and that's the one we're choosing here. But make sure the smart TV is a Roku TV or something of that nature, something mainstream, so that it will maintain currency. The next challenge is going to be an over-the-air antenna, and that's really not a challenge at all. You can pick those up for less than $30 in places like Walmart or Costco or places like that. Now what I'm going to do is play a little snippet from the Roku TV installation process and let you see a sampling of what you're going to get from whatever particular choice you make with Smart TV.
Congratulations on your new Roku TV. In this video, we'll go over what came in the box, walk you through the on-screen setup, and show you how to activate your Roku TV. Plus, if you want to take advantage of free over-the-air HD channels, stay tuned because we'll show you how to set up the antenna input too. Okay, let's get started. In the box, you've got a remote, batteries, quick start guide, power cord, and of course, your Roku TV. On top of what's in the box, what you'll need is your wireless home network name and password to connect your Roku TV to the internet. And you'll need a computer, tablet, or smartphone to complete setup. Okay, let's power up your Roku TV and remote. First, connect the power cord to your Roku TV and to a wall outlet. Next, insert the included batteries into your remote. Make sure they're seated firmly and positioned correctly. Now go ahead and turn on your Roku TV. The Roku logo will fill the screen. And in a few moments, you'll land on a guided setup. Use your remote and follow the prompts. Select language, the country you're in, and here, choose Setup for home use. Now, let's connect your new Roku TV to your network so you can activate your Roku account and start streaming your favorite movies and TV shows over the internet. If you're not planning on streaming right away, you can choose Connect to the internet later. Select your wireless network.
We're going with Smart TV first. That is actually the easiest. And all you really have to do there is to hook up the antenna. And then what you do is you go through the install process that is described in that previous video. And then you're home free. Okay, and that includes identifying your Wi-Fi network with a password. And it will go through the setup process and off you go. With a streaming device, there's actually one additional step. Besides hooking up the antenna, you'll also have to hook up the streaming device itself to an HDMI port on your TV. Then what you do is you select the appropriate HDMI port that you want to watch, and that will be your Roku or whichever device you choose. And you will go through the setup process, again, as described by the vendor's setup video. If your cable channels are important to you, this is a chart to help you determine which particular streaming service that you want to get. If you look at the bottom, you can see the numbers of channels that are available with those services. And that, of course, varies by package. Like, for instance, you'll see later on that AT&T has 3 offerings that goes from 60 channels to 130 channels, and they're priced accordingly. And other services provide that a capability as well. Here's the AT&T TV offering that I mentioned earlier. There are 3 options, and the largest, of course, is 130 channels. That should be enough to suffice what your channel requirements are. Besides your cable channels, there are thousands of streaming channels as well. Many are free. The high-quality offerings come with a price, however. For instance, HBO Max is about $15, while Apple TV is $5. And there are other prices as well. This tiering of prices is common. Like Netflix offers 3 prices, which vary depending on how many concurrent devices that you have. Like, for instance, you could have somebody watching on the phone, while somebody else is watching on TV, Apple TV, somebody else is watching on Roku, etc. And that number can get up to 8, I believe. And they also, their price also includes a change in improvement in picture quality. So for the base price, you get SD quality, while at the top end, you would get 4K kind of quality. To get a flavor for how many offerings you have available, let's take a look at what Netflix is getting in July. Now, what you're looking at is only July 1 and only a partial list of July 1. So as you can see, they get a lot of entertainment that is available to you. And they're in the form of either movies or they can be as TV shows. So you take your pick, and they can be really engrossing, so that you end up binging on some of these guys. But there are a lot of choices, and you will never go without as far as entertainment is concerned. Now, here are some of the choices you have for your streaming devices. First of all, you got the Smart TV. That is the most straightforward. It's easy to install. The only issue is that when you do get one, make sure you get one of the mainstream streamers like Roku or something of that nature, because those are the guys that will stay up to date the most effectively. Another guy who's been around from day one, that was the one that first introduced us to streaming, and that was the Roku. As a matter of fact, I've had one of those for as many years as they've been around. Next is Android. I've personally never used one. Amazon Fire, I have used one of those. My son has one of those. And they're all very effective. Here's the Apple TV. A little bit more pricey than you're used to, but if you're in the Apple ecosystem, then sometimes it's good to have those guys around. As a matter of fact, their quality is just really good. And finally, Chromecast is the last of the ones we have pictured here. When you're ready to make the move, you want to take a look at cordcuttersnews.com. It's a very valuable resource for you to find out what's the latest and what's the best, etc., etc. They offer opinions, they offer techniques, they offer how-tos, and can really be a blessing. Here's a chart that gives you a sampling of what's available for cable streaming channels, what kinds of services are offered, and from that you can pretty much narrow down exactly what you need in order to satisfy your cable requirements. Here's a handy chart to help you understand what channels are available with which cable service. From that, you can make your choice on what streaming service that you really need in order to meet your requirements. Now we'll have a quick tour of what it's like to interface to these various devices. We'll be talking about Apple TV, Roku, and just the general TV. First of all, what you see there is a smart TV, and you have, as you would on any TV, the ability to choose which source you're going to get your input from. And so you'll have it go down to Apple TV, for instance. So we're going to be looking at Apple TV first. Here, what you'll see is here's what to see when you see the Apple TV store. It's very much like your App Store. And from that, you can pick out what channels that you want. Like Prime Video, you probably want that. Discovery Plus is a very popular channel. There's HBO Max, etc. And you can add all of those to your Apple TV environment. Then here's what you get when you go to regular old watching movies or channels. You'll get a choice on Apple TV. There's the Apple Store. There's Fitness Plus, which is something that I found invaluable to myself. And in the background, you'll see a trailer playing to try to pique your curiosity about watching a particular show. I mentioned Apple TV Plus. This is Fitness Plus. This is what Fitness Plus looks like. And they are various leaders that give you instruction on how to do HIIT, strength, yoga, etc., etc. And I found that absolutely invaluable and still do. Here is another trailer. What you see now is the fact that it can not control, but help you wind your way through all these offerings. What you see here is a list of the things that we've watched or they recommend watching. And so you can click on Bosch, and away you go and watch. You're going to watch Bosch, which is an excellent series from Amazon. Here's another part of the quick tour. We're going to choose Acorn in this particular instance. Acorn TV is an offering that provides you access to shows from the UK, Australia, and various parts of Europe. And they are really well done shows. So we're going to select Acorn. And when we see Acorn, here's a list of shows that we have access to. And away we go. And Netflix and others are just very similar to that. You'll see Netflix a little bit later. And so we selected Miss Fisher's Modern Murder Mysteries, and we will start watching that guy. Here is Roku TV. They have a different kind of interface. You'll see that it's more integrated into the TV environment, so I can select for HDMI 3 or live TV if I've got an antenna installed. As well as any of the shows that I particularly prefer. Here you see their Apple Store. They're not Apple Store. They're streaming channel selections, and there you see a list of that goes on and on. They've got over 3,000 channels that you can choose from. Here's just a screen that depicts the connection because you have to set up your Wi-Fi connection. And that's what you use that guy for. Here you start seeing the channels again, and I'm going to go and select Netflix. So I click on Netflix, and Netflix has a facility to identify what user is going to be watching this TV or the shows, and from that they can provide locks if you've got kids that you don't want to have them see things. They also provide access so that when Catherine logs on, she gets a list of shows that she prefers. When Doug logs on, he'll get a list of shows that he prefers. And so once I finally get logged on, again, I see the Netflix show trailer. And from that, I can pick the one I prefer. Here is what Sling looks like. Sling, as I mentioned, is a cable streaming network, and I see all the guys in there, and they've got 60 channels, for instance. And so I can go through and find out what I want. I can record the ones I prefer, etc. And they each have very similar kinds of guides, but this is the one from Sling. And I've chosen to watch the TNT channel, and they've got the Mickelson Brady team on there in their golf match. So that concludes the presentation. I hope you found it enlightening, and please contact me if you have any questions.